Hi, I'm Ray.
And I'm Saren.
We're your Spider Baby hosts from To Know Her Is to Fear Her, a Spider-Woman podcast, as well as proud members of the collective.
You're listening to Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks. Enjoy the show!
This episode of Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks podcast.
I love Ben Riley.
Hello and welcome to another month of Scarlet Spider. I am Phil, joining as always, Boston's favorite flow.
Hey.
It's early morning, kids.
It's Matt Kona.
And I don't know if that's a snake or a tiger on his head, but coming to you live from Australia.
Hey everyone, it's Ray. I'm wearing this because I'm pissed off. Actually, it's my team, and they've had a terrible season so far. So, crisis meeting Monday.
What kind of team is it? Football?
Sorry, what was that?
What kind of team is it? Is it the football?
No, rugby league. So it's the big meatheads, running into each other.
Scrums.
Yeah. That's it. Yep. And a lot of guys, as Eve would say, a lot of guys, big guys in colourful shorts and shirts, rolling around the ground over each other.
Wild, like an animal.
Hey,
that's it.
That's right. We got Russell now.
Wild, like an animal.
Oh, that's Russell.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there we got that, and we got.
Where's the Joker nuggets?
Jeez, Russell.
That's right. You will hear me on Tomes of Evil soon. Anyway, yes. So this time we're covering Maximum Clonage from 1995. So strap yourselves in, kids. We got 5 issues, including 2 oversized ones. So, all right. So Spider-Man Maximum Clonage Alpha, number 1. And it's one of the oversized ones.
Didn't it start with New Warriors?
Yeah, but I didn't put that on the list.
Okay.
I mean, we still have a few.
Okay.
It was kind of prequel, but yeah, did you read that? It was kind of like.
I did. I read it. I was in such a rush. I just Googled Maximum Clonage reading order, and that's what I found.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I didn't have it on the list, but they basically just fight Spider's side, and he's trying to steal that toxin or that chemical or whatever.
Big old canister. Yeah.
That's right. That was New Warriors 61.
There's kind of a new look, New Warriors too. This character Justice that I wasn't really familiar with.
Oh,
I think he kind of replaced Night Thrasher, or something.
isn't Justice? Isn't that like Van Zastro, like Marvel Boy?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah. But there were other ones like Turbo. I'd never. Yeah, I'm used to the OG New Warriors. I don't know who Turbo was. Speedball looked terrible.
Yeah. Still living at home too. He was getting hassled by his mom.
Yeah.
He's probably still cutting his hair.
Yeah.
But yes, and this is called "And the Jackal Cries Death." Starts in Springville, Pennsylvania. Well, a little too close to home. The clone.
Do you remember this, Phil? Do you remember this event?
Yes.
Were you walking around?
I was in high school. Yeah. We got the alert. That's it. So.
Oh, yeah.
The clone of Peter Parker sits on a park bench holding a metal canister. After a moment, he opens it, unleashing a virus that seemingly wipes out the entire population. The Jackal soon arrives, marveling the effects of his newly modified carrion virus. This Parker clone doesn't share the same sense of humor that the Jackal does. However, the Jackal explains that they are doing this for the greater good, as he intends to replace all the people killed here with clones of his own creation as part of his scheme to replace every living being on Earth with a clone. Has he figured out the clone degeneration yet? I don't think so, but he's going to replace everyone with clones. Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of like planning on the fly here, because there's very much a point where it's like, I haven't figured out the degeneration. So I don't know what he's hoping.
There's a great Stephen Wright is a comedian from Boston. He's like a one-liner guy, very droll. He plays the guy on the couch in Half Baked, if you saw that movie. And he has a line: "Someone broke into my apartment and replaced everything with an exact replica." That's really fun. So.
I actually don't know him, but I know of him. He's got a lot of fuzzy hair, right? And he's
yeah.
He's quite funny. Yeah,
he's very good. Yeah.
All right. He tells the clone that he will be his true son, as Peter Parker and Ben Reilly wouldn't understand. Spider-Men just don't understand. As they pass a nearby alley, they are unaware that one of their victims wakes up alive and well.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, but a rather muscular citizen of Pennsylvania. Don't you think? Like he's just. This, I guess, was of the 90s where anatomy, like everyone had a six-pack, I guess, So
it was just a really nice package.
That's
yeah, because yes, it was the 90s, and
because Ray likes it hard, and Ray likes it long.
Deary me. Let's not go into that.
Ew. All right. Then in New York, Peter Parker sits high above the city, trying to process the recent revelation that he was a clone of the real Peter Parker. Remember that? He thinks about all the recent anguish he endured in recent history. It all started with the appearance of people claiming to be his parents. Yeah, we're going to go over the last couple of months. However, he later learned that they were artificial constructs created by the Chameleon as part of a revenge scheme. This was followed by his Aunt May, who suffered a stroke and entered a coma. After learning this, Peter suffered a breakdown and attempted to renounce his human identity and totally embraced the spider. This was followed by the return of Ben Reilly, turning his life upside down. This was followed in rapid succession by Ben becoming the Scarlet Spider, the return of the Jackal, and how Dr. Octopus saved him from a deadly virus. Although he thought things were going well when his wife Mary Jane told him that she was pregnant, this is followed by thoughts of Kane, who told Peter he was the real Spider-Man, causing Peter to doubt his own identity for the first time. This was followed by the death of his Aunt May and his arrest for murder. Peter's thoughts then recall his battle against Freakface, a twisted spider clone, catching Kane and bringing him to justice, and the recent test that proved that Peter was the clone and Ben Reilly was the real Spider-Man the whole time. Even after all the deceptions, Peter knows that the revelation that he is a clone must be true. Okay. Elsewhere, the Scarlet Spider is searching for Peter after he ran away. After he hunts for Peter, Ben thinks about he too had been manipulated by the Jackal and his minions. He soon becomes angry when the fact that he was robbed of 5 years of his life. Losing control of his emotions, he shatters a rooftop, sending debris showering down on the street below. Realizing what he has done, the Scarlet Spider webs up the debris before someone can get hurt, then returns to his search for Peter. Meanwhile, Mary Jane goes through a number of books on genetics in the hopes of learning some clues to what Peter's status of a clone may have on their unborn child. However, the material is far too complicated and she is too worried about her husband to focus. When she hears someone coming in from the skylight, she hopes that it is Peter. Instead, it is Ben, and for a moment, she convinces herself that Riley has come to take Peter's place in her life. Brought to hysterics, she accuses Ben of trying to replace Peter and denounces his presence in her home. The Scarlet Spider calms Mary Jane by explaining that while he envies the life that Peter has, he doesn't want it for himself. He then tells Mary Jane that he has been looking for her spouse and to see if he can help in some way. Then he intends to go after the Jackal once and for all. Then back in Springville, By this time, the Center for Disease Control have arrived in Springville and begin examining the dead bodies. They are horrified by how quickly the virus acted and fear what might happen if this is an epidemic. Miles away, the Jackal and his Parker clone are driving back to their base. The Jackal amusingly listens to the radio chatter regarding the virus. However, he is shocked when he learns that the CDC has managed to find the survivor.
Yeah, this is so this little bit here, the Jackal's. At first, I thought, oh, look, he wanted to wipe everyone out, but I guess he expecting this to find someone that could somehow, be immune to it, because he ends up studying the guy, right, or trying to study the guy. So,
well, no, because I think he even says he's like, one survivor in the whole town. He's like, that could work out to I forget what kind of percent around the world.
Yeah,
he's like, I need to study this guy to determine why the virus didn't work on him and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like the Salem witch trial. It's like, well, if we drown you and you survive, you're a witch. And they drowned or hanged everyone, and they weren't witches. So what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
But this one got results.
All right, but meanwhile, on Long Island, the new Warriors have returned to the Gene Tech research facility to confront Walter Rosen, who withheld important information when he sent the Warriors out to recover a stolen nano container. As a result,
sorry, I was just about to say, am I the only one that, actually, I don't half mind Firestar's new costume.
Whoa.
I know a classic one. It looks... Oh, no, I mean, it just looks pretty cool. I don't know. What do you think? Is it a 290 still, or maybe I'm stuck in that era?
I mean, it's not bad, but it's 90s. Doesn't it have like a leather jacket and stuff?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
or maybe not.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah. Anyway.
As a result, the Warriors were ill-prepared for the mission and failed and are very upset with Rosen. The group has already made the connection with this nano contagion and the situation in Springfield. Learning that the lone survivor has begun exhibiting strange powers, the Warriors demand to know everything Walter knows before they go to investigate. Meanwhile, back in New York, Ben is picking up Mary Jane's books while she checks the mail. She is surprised to find a letter addressed to Ben among the other mail. It is from Springville, and when Ben opens it, it contains an anonymous letter wishing the Scarlet Spider could be there. Reading it, Riley easily deduces who this letter must be from. Okay, so if it's in the mail...
okay, I had a little, just a nitpick. If everybody in Springville is killed, does this guy like go to the post office and stamp it himself and put the postmark on it and send it up? Is there a clone that works at the post office?
Well, I'm thinking if it's in the mail, he had to have mailed it at least a day or two beforehand. So it's like,
true.
What if someone? What if the Parkers would have checked their mail very quickly? Ben could have been there. By the time that.
Yeah.
The stop the Jackal, but
New York City mail it takes longer. All those boroughs, the brownstones to walk up.
I'm guessing. The trial and hey,
they're
gonna be busy.
Yeah.
Wow! At a maximum security facility on the Lower East Side, Kane is being transported to his cell. Suddenly, he is struck with yet another vision of someone murdering Mary Jane. Realizing that she's in danger, Kane breaks free from his restraints and escapes into the city. Back in Springville.
That's pretty funny.
What? Oh, yeah. Couple weeks.
Just that, like... Sorry?
We're going to get to that in a couple weeks, who's after me.
Yeah, but just how, he was toying with him. I like the idea that this was just like a flimsy restraint. He could easily have broken free, and all it took was a little bit of a headache from a precog vision for him to go, okay, that's it, I've got to go. And off he goes.
Yeah.
Well, he's a clone. I mean, those spider guys are always lifting big weights off of themselves, or...
Yeah.
True.
Oh, no, I don't doubt it. I just think, they should have had better security measures.
Unless his strength went up, because remember, for some reason, as he degenerates, his strength goes up, so...
Right, okay.
But back in Springville, at a CDC mobile research base, scientists try to examine the man who survived the carrion virus. When they try to inject him with a sedative, the needle breaks as the survivor's skin becomes rock hard. Suddenly, he breaks free and flees into the night. Watching this is the evil Peter Parker clone who has come to deal with the survivor for his master. Because the Jackal told him to be subtle about this, the Parker clone uses his shape-shifting powers to create a costume for himself. As he stalks after the survivor, he decides to accept the name given to him by his creator and starts calling himself Spider-Side. So what did you think of this costume?
Although later he says his daddy gave him that name.
Yeah.
It's better than Freak Face, I guess. But
I think both of them are probably on par with each other. But I don't mind the character actually. And you asked about the costume, Phil. To me, like, because he's bigger and he's got a different costume and he's kind of got like a Venom mouth. In the fact that Spider, I thought he was an interesting character. His powers totally weird, but yeah.
I kind of went back and forth with the character because it's something a little off, of course, of the face. He doesn't have a sweatshirt, that's a problem. It kind of looks like, I don't know. I mean, I know he doesn't have a Union Jack on him, but a little Captain Britain vibe. Maybe just because like the head shape, big kind of like a red thing. I mean, later we see him do some like kind of gnarly, unexpected things with the I'm just ahead. And he does have sort of Guy Gardner style calf boots, Uggs under his costume with his feet. But yeah, I thought it was a formidable foe. I mean, with all these Peter Parker, clone of, evil clone, master clone, there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, of course, it is maximum clonage, so I guess I can't criticize that, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think he was quite different from all the others. I think that's what kind of made him stand out. But at the same token, Phil, like, he is like really bad in the other way, in the sense of a bad character. Just really, yeah. But maybe kitsch that is interesting. I think that's maybe why. Yeah.
He's a walking personification of the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look how big it is.
That's when he notices a helicopter landing nearby. Spider-Side is amused to see the new warriors emerging from the vehicle, looking forward to clashing with them again. At that same moment, the Scarlet Spider has arrived in Springville and begins looking around himself. He spots the survivor and is surprised when the man's skin turns to stone to protect him from the branches of the forest. As the wall crawler tries to go in for a closer look, he is ambushed by the new warriors who mistakenly think he is in league with Spider-Side.
Classic miscommunication about heroes fighting each other.
Absolutely. No talking.
Yeah.
Although he's trying to tell them, I think, I can't remember, but I mean, come on, there's 5 of them between one of him. It's enough brains there to, kind of at least ask or something.
Well, it is the new warriors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm looking at Speedball. I don't know how much of a brain is in there, but is it Robbie Baldwin? Or something? Is that his name?
I think.
Yeah, Robbie. Yeah,
Robbie.
Yeah, we know what they say.
Those impulsive teenagers,
There's never a lot.
There's
never a lot of thinking going on when there's an speedball. Well, I was gonna say 8-ball speedball in the room. Oh.
I mean, a speedball is a combination of cocaine and heroin. So,
thank you. Thank you, man. I did not know that. Thank you.
That in itself is a bad decision. It's what killed John Belushi. So, that's bad.
All right, so wow.
Just to bring it down with real life celebrity death from the 70s.
Thank you, Matt Cona. But then back in New York, Mary Jane grows tired of waiting for her husband to return home. With so much to think about, she decides to go for a walk. Not long after, Peter returns home, but thinks that he doesn't deserve this life. After pausing to smell his wife's pillow, But think about
thankfully just a pillow.
Yes, yes.
Just a sniff. Yeah.
Just the pillow. Just the pillow. And think about how much he loves her. Peter then takes their savings and his Spider-Man costume and leaves. As he web slings across the city, he decides, despite all else, he earned the right to call himself Spider-Man. Back in Springville, as the Scarlet Spider holds his own against the New Warriors, the Survivor continues to flee through the woods. He is then confronted by Spider-Side, and his screams are heard by the Spider and the New Warriors. Back in New York, his mind reeling with thoughts of being a clone, Spider-Man decides to go to the last place he spent time with Aunt May before she died. Climbing up the Empire State Building, the web-slinger hopes that he can find some clarity in this special place. Elsewhere in the city, get ready, the Punisher overhears a news report about Spider-Man being sighted climbing the Empire State Building.
Yeah. The Punisher.
Throw him in there. Why not?
Next issue, man. Also hearing this reported to Jackal, who decides to go and pay Peter a surprise visit. Back in Springville, by the time the Scarlet Spider and the Warriors have reached Spider-Side, who decides to toss his would-be victim into the air. When the members of the Warriors who can fly try to rescue the survivor, they are surprised when he suddenly grows wings in order to save himself. Seeing that this man is about to attack him, Speedball, Turbo, and Power Packs incapacitate him. Meanwhile, the Scarlet Spider, Justice, and Firestar face off against Spider-Side. As he clashes with the Spider, Spider-Side reveals that he is the clone the web-slinger fought earlier and called Freakface. Spider-Side surprises them by turning into water and departs, leaving them with a clue as to the Jackal's whereabouts. He tells the Scarlet Spider that the Jackal has gone back to where it all began. Back in New York, Spider-Man sits atop the Empire State Building and thinks about the last time he was here with Aunt May. Before she collapsed in his arms, she told him that she knew he was really Spider-Man and how proud she was of him. Now that he believes himself to be a clone, he thinks he doesn't deserve this praise and that he was nothing. His thoughts are interrupted by the Jackal, prompting Spider-Man to lash out in anger. The Jackal defends himself, blocking the web spinner's blows. He explains that, with the revelation that Peter Parker is really a clone, he has come back to claim what is his. In Springville, as Gene Tech takes the virus survivor into custody, the New Warriors apologize for attacking the Scarlet Spider. He accepts
My bad.
He accepts their apology as he understands that it was a case of mistaken identity. With the battle over, he fears what happened to Spider-Side. Now that he is free of the Jackal's control and can assume any shape he wants. The Spider fears where this new threat may appear next. His fears are very warranted as Spider-Side has taken the place of one of the pilots about to ship the survivor back to Gene Tech. And finally, in New York, the Jackal, confident he can defeat a clone that he created, overpowers Spider-Man. He then tells Parker that they needn't fight and offers the wall crawler a chance to join him, and they can work together on perfecting his cloning technology. With nothing else to live for, Spider-Man accepts the Jackal's outstretched hand. Come on.
Damn, that was a bit of a jump. Come on.
Yeah. Well, it certainly wasn't a way to end it,
No.
Because, got people, everyone's ears kind of pricked up at that. But I don't know, I enjoyed this issue on a whole. I thought it was entertaining. I mean, like there were nice fight scenes, enough big and bold characters. It wasn't too much to kind of try and keep up with. I mean, we're already familiar with the likes of, what Kane's up to, Mary Jane as well, because we've got to keep tabs on her. But yeah, just the main Peter Parkers, the Spider, the clones. That was pretty cool. But yeah, I did not expect the Jackal to offer him basically a spot on the dark side.
Yeah. But again, the Jackal also believes erroneously that this Peter's the clone. So.
Yeah.
Or a clone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the twist ending would cause anyone to be like, "I'm done with this series. I'll throw this down." They'll buy it because they'll be like, "What? All right, I'll see where this goes." If they were on the fence about it, maybe.
But I know, did you enjoy it, Matt? Like overall, the issue?
Yeah, I liked it, and I like a sprinkling of the Punisher just marauding around, and he has a connection with the Jackal, right? Going back to like the first appearance, was that the
yeah?
Oh yeah, the Jackal tricked the Punisher to go after Spider-Man. Yeah,
yeah. So this is an old grudge. So they're playing to the old school fans and bringing in new ones and trying to, like you just said, spin a lot of plates with the storylines, and they found a balance that it didn't drag. It there's still a lot going on, and I mean, it's living up to the bill. I mean, having a title be Maximum Clonage, and maybe people might expect Carnage to be involved too, and not just a play on words. I think they're filling in adequately.
Yeah.
All right, ready to get to the next one here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Punisher, so it goes to Web of Spider-Man 127 from August 1995. Writer Todd DeZago, penciler Stephen Butler, inker Randy Emberlin, colorist Kevin Tinsley, letterer Steve Dutrow, editor Eric Fien, and Danny Fingeroth. The Last Temptation of Peter Parker. Very biblical. With the reports that Spider-Man and an unknown assailant are atop the Empire State Building, a group of police officers rush up the stairs to take control of the situation. They are not the only ones interested in the wall crawler and his guest, as, across the way, the Punisher views the pair through a scope on a sniper rifle. Spider-Man has come to the top of the Empire State Building with the Jackal? His life has been totally rocked by the revelation that he's really the clone of Peter Parker and is now being convinced to join the mad scientist. Recognizing the Jackal, the Punisher prepares to take his shot. That's when the wall crawler's spider sense warns him of danger, ruining the Punisher's aim on the Jackal. With the authorities storming the observation deck on the building, the Jackal suggests that they find someplace else to talk, prompting Spider-Man to web-sling away with the Madman in his arms. Watching them go, the Punisher thinks about how recent events have made him change perspectives on his one-man war against crime. Oh Lord, this is a whole thing. Yes, I'm trying to remember. I don't know if Punisher was like someone was messing with his mind or something. But in Clonage Omega #1, the Punisher was forced to seemingly kill Nick Fury, but it was actually a LMD. So,
okay,
yeah. But again, I think somebody was messing with Punisher's head. Doesn't take much to convince him to kill.
Is this before or after Frankencastle?
Oh, this is before. Oh.
Yeah.
Frank.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has a lot to deal with. I wouldn't even call it PTSD. I would call it like CTSD, like current traumatic stress disorder, or constant, recurring.
Constantly recurring, yeah.
Meanwhile, in Forest Hills, Anna Watson is working on maintaining the home of her late friend May Parker. Mary Jane feels bad, but Anna insists that this is the least she can do after Peter and Mary Jane allowed her to stay there. She points out that the couple has been through a lot after May's death, and Peter being put on trial for murder. However, this is not all that is bothering Peter, but Mary Jane can't tell her aunt about the recent revelation that her husband is a clone and how this revelation will impact their marriage and their unborn child. She at least expresses her concerns for their marriage, but Anna reminds her niece that Peter loves her and that they have a wonderful life ahead of them, concluding that Mary Jane shouldn't let anything stand in the way of that.
I was just waiting for her to get bitten by that spider and turn into another character.
I know, not foreshadowing this, just the spider on the shelf.
Yeah. She's worried about whether she'll become a great aunt or not.
Oh, I can't wait for that baby. Nothing will happen. Back in the city, Spider-Man swings above the streets with the Jackal in his grip. The Madman is trying to convince the Wallcrawler to go along with his plan to eliminate all human life and replace it with perfect clones. However, Spider-Man needs a moment to process it all and lands on the ground. There, his spider sense goes off and he manages to shove the Jackal out of the way as the Punisher opens fire on them. The Punisher orders Spider-Man to stand aside and begins opening fire again, not caring who gets caught in his hail of bullets. As the wall crawler gets innocent people to safety, the Punisher prepares to shoot the hero as well. Seeing this, the Jackal jumps in the way, taking the bullets meant for Spider-Man. As the web-slinger rushes to the Jackal's side, the Punisher demands that Spider-Man move out of the way so he can finish his job. Spider-Man easily overpowers the Punisher and disarms him. However, before he can deliver a beating to the mass murderer, the police arrive on the scene. Not wanting to deal with the Punisher, he tosses the vigilante toward the officers and swings away with the Jackal. However, the Punisher is far from helpless and manages to evade arrest thanks to some well-placed smoke grenades.
I like that. It was very reminded me of Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yes.
Yeah.
The smoke, yeah.
Well, that's Frank. He's on the ground.
While at that same moment, Kane returns to the factory where Miles Warren originally created his spider clones. There he is suddenly struck by another vision of Mary Jane being stalked by a killer. This time he knows who is stalking the woman and cannot believe who it really is. Like I said, we're only a couple episodes away from that.
Yeah.
While at that moment, Spider-Man has brought the Jackal back to his current lab. In order to save the life of his alleged creator, Spider-Man places the Jackal into a cloning chamber to heal his wounds. While in the sewers beneath Manhattan, the authorities continue their pursuit of the Punisher. Figuring he may have to make a stand, the Punisher stops, fleeing in order to face his pursuers. However, that's when he notices some strange wires running along the roof of the sewer. When the officers arrive at the dead end, they find the Punisher standing over the water holding the severed electrical cable. He threatens to toss the live wires into the water and electrocute the officers if they don't let him go.
That's so cool. I did like this scene.
With no other choice, the police officers retreat, allowing the Punisher to escape. Although the Jackal has managed to escape, the Punisher figures that his day of reckoning will come soon. While back at the Jackal's lab, Peter Parker waits outside the cloning chamber, lamenting over his situation. Inside, the Jackal gloats that everything is going according to plan. All right, what you guys think?
Yeah, one little quibble on it, because I really did enjoy Butler's art and seeing the Punisher. I think the Punisher thought he was drawn really well. He actually reminded me a lot of the 90s. There was a particular run in the Punisher series where this art was, it could have been Stephen Butler, I don't know, but it just reminded me very much of that era. The only little quibble I had was towards the beginning with the Punisher. I think, what was the guy, the writer? I don't think he got the Punisher's voice. Did you guys get that down pat? I mean, he sounded too kind of like almost Jackal-y or too Spider-Man-y in his dialogue.
The Punisher?
Yeah, a little too kind of quippy.
Like I said, I don't think this was like Punisher in his right mind. Like I think he's had.
Yes.
I think his mind's been messed with. So yeah, this isn't like your typical Punisher. So.
Oh no, for sure, and I can see that with some of the actions that he does, in particular, like shooting crazily and almost killing some citizens and all that. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought the way he was speaking. I mean, whether his mind had been altered, that he's kind of changed his personality. That was only a little thing. But other than that, I thought this was highly enjoyable. The art really helped it along for me. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't have too much else to add. I'll kind of echo those sentiments and say that I feel like Punisher he was so often used as a guest star in so many books, and I feel like you kind of nailed it. That sort of was a commonality thing that happened. Like they didn't really get him. I mean, because I read a lot of the Punisher main book and War Journal, I think.
Yeah, me too. Those two.
What was the third one? There was a War Journal and then
Warzone.
Warzone, yeah. I would pick up Warzone occasionally, but I felt like, as a reader, you got to read him in his personal thoughts, so you got a little bit more of a sense of what was going on. And when he was just thrown into something else, you're like, okay, it seems like a dumbed down or something like a ignorant or sort of version of the basics of Punisher, like must kill bad guys, must, at any cost, and be damned to authority or other people or superheroes to get in the way.
Yeah. How about you, Phil? Did you like it or?
Yeah. Like I said, I gotta agree with you guys. Yeah, it was pretty good. The art really sells it. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting. Yeah, they brought the Punisher back in because, you know, they didn't forget, you know, it was the Jackal who originally brought the Punisher in back in Amazing Spider-Man 129. So
yeah, no, that was a good touch, I'd say.
Oh man, they were 2 issues off, man. This was what was Spider-Man 127.
Right, yeah, so close to the parallel. Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into the next one. Amazing Spider-Man 404, In the Name of the Father.
Can I might I add as well, just while we're here, like, so I'm reading all of these off Marvel Unlimited, so it's really great that all of this is available.
Yes.
You know, digitally. So yeah, I mean, if any listeners are out there, you can easily buy it on Comixology. You can even get, you know, I guess floppies and all that. But Marvel Unlimited, it's all there.
Oh yeah, it's all over the place. I think they even collected this in a trade, at least once.
Trades, omnibuses, yeah.
Yeah, you can find this stuff real easy. But yes, yes, Amazing Spider-Man 404, August 95. Writer J.M. DeMatteis and Todd DeZago. Penciler Mark Bagley, yeah. Inker Larry Malstead, Randy Emberlin, Joseph Rubenstein. So 3 inkers. Colorist Bob Sharon, letterer Bill Oakley, editor Danny Fingeroth. Like I said, In the Name of the Father. All right. The life of Peter Parker has been turned upside down by the Jackal's revelation that he's actually a clone. This makes Peter think that his entire life means nothing, not his marriage or even his child Mary Jane now carries. His thoughts are interrupted by the Scarlet Spider, who has managed to track down Peter. Ben tries to empathize with Peter, telling him he knows exactly what it's like believing you are a clone without a life or a past. However, this attempt only serves to make Peter angry, and he lashes out at Ben, telling him that he doesn't know what it's like to lose everything. Riley doesn't fight back and continues to try to get Peter to listen to him. However, Parker is not willing to listen and tells Ben that they have nothing in common and walks away. Before Ben can follow after Peter, he is attacked by Spider-Side, who tells Riley that this facility is for clones only. Overpowering the Scarlet Spider, Spider-Side turns into water in an attempt to drown his foe. Watching this from above is Kane, who is satisfied to leave the Scarlet Spider to die. He then finds the Jackal's rejuvenation tank and rips him out of it. Kane is furious with how the Jackal dashed away all the hopes that Peter Parker had by telling him the alleged truth. However, the Jackal easily overpowers him and tells Kane that they can keep on fighting, or he can allow the Jackal to cure him of his degeneration. This prompts Kane to stop fighting. The Jackal then tells him to track down his brothers. By this time, Spider-Side has made his body mass solid in another attempt to smother the Scarlet Spider. Unfortunately for him, Ben Reilly manages to break free. Despite being shattered into pieces, Spider-Side manages to pull himself back together and resume human form. Before the fight can continue, the Jackal and Kane enter the room. The Jackal orders Spider-Side to stop fighting and then calls for Spider-Man to come down from the shadows above. The Jackal explains that Spider-Man has joined him because he is convinced that he is a clone. As such, Peter's unique biology will allow him to complete his cloning experiments. He then turns to the Scarlet Spider and tells him that he is free to go and bears him no grudge. The Scarlet Spider, however, refuses to turn the other cheek and attacks the Jackal. He is furious for having his life taken away from him thanks to the machinations of Miles Warren. Surprisingly, the Scarlet Spider is stopped by Spider-Man, who tells Ben that he can go and reclaim his life. Ben tries to talk sense to Peter, but he is knocked out by a single blow from Kane. While this is going on, Spider-Side slips away to try and make sense of his thoughts. That's when he runs into this issue's lurker, Scryer, who vaguely remembers meeting him before. Without a single word, Scryer places a finger on Spider-Side's forehead, making him remember who he is.
Let's get that magic touch.
Yeah.
Seriously. Meanwhile, the Scarlet Spider still struggles to break free from Spider-Man and Kane's grasp. The Jackal then decides to let Ben go into the regeneration tanks, offering to make him a new man, and they can all work together to create a new world. Aware that the Jackal wiped out the entire town of Springville, the Spider refuses to help, prompting the Jackal to slap him across the face. Damn. Where we go?
Not in the face!
Yes. Where'd I go? It's then that Spider-Side rejoins them and offers to help. The Jackal refuses to kill Ben Reilly and orders Spider-Side to eliminate Kane instead. Kane protests this, reminding the Jackal that he promised to cure him of his degeneration. However, his pathetic sobs do little to move his creator. Realizing that he never should have trusted the Jackal, Kane walks out of the facility, vowing to return and kill his creator.
That was just really weird in the fact that, he said, come on, Spider-Side, kill him. Kane has a bit of a hissy fit, has a tantrum.
I'm going home.
Collects himself together. It's like, oh, okay. Or maybe he's the best mind manipulator we ever know, because he's made Jackal forget about asking Spider-Side to kill him. He's diverted the subject. Oh, I'm just going to go. I'll kill you later. I'm going home.
Yeah, so, that's a good line.
Bye, guys.
He got out of there.
Bye, guys. Kill you later.
Yeah.
By this point, the Scarlet Spider begins to feel drowsy and blacks out. When he comes around, he finds himself being dragged to another room. When the spider is tossed into the darkened room, he is left to face an army of Spider-Man clones.
Had to happen. Maximum clonage. Yeah.
Russell. Hey, Russell. He said he really felt that Jackal wanted Jackal to be Spider-Man's new big bad. Ock was dead. Venom is gone. Maybe.
They seem to really be amping. Yeah, Jackal. I mean, we've spoken about this ever since. We've started covering Scarlet Spider. They wanted to make him a conglomeration of stuff, like the Joker and, I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
evil.
I got so many Joker vibes from the Jackal.
Where's the Joker nuggets?
But yeah, I don't know. Still as a villain, I mean, he's if anything, he's annoying at most, for me at least. Like, he seems to be able to overpower everyone, which is fair enough. But he just loves toying, I guess, with everything. So yeah, it's just a bit annoying.
Oh, Russell, you did name the villain behind the whole thing. Yeah, I'm not going to say because I think Ray's still in the dark about that.
Yeah.
So should we get to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, other than just a Mark Bagley art.
I was gonna say this one was kind of different because the first two they scene jumped. This one basically took place in the same room the whole time.
Oh, there was a nice consistency to it, and you kind of get all the main Spider players together, which I liked. There's that shot where all of them are standing around the Jackal. You get this annoying little pest called Scryer in there as well, but I guess he has a part to play.
It's the Clone Saga, someone's got to lurk.
Yeah, but great art again. I mean, Spider-Man, Ben Reilly, even Spider-Side look really good. I think
Bagley, of course.
And I just don't envy Bagley having to do that last page because I was looking at it going, any of them duplicated or anything like that. They're all pretty unique. So,
What you think, Matt?
Yeah, you guys pretty much hit it. What I was going to say. So, for the sake of time, since I'm running low, we'll just flow along. Yeah.
All right, so the action continues into Spider-Man 61, again, August 95. This time, writer Howard Mackey, penciler Tom Lau, inker Chris Ivey, colorist Kevin Tinsley, letterer Richard Starking's Comic Craft, editor Danny Fingeroth. So yeah, this is our buddy Howard Mackey, Ray. Oh, heading toward Omega. Literally. So, while searching for Spider-Man in the Jackal's cloning facility, the Scarlet Spider has found himself in a room filled with Spider-Man clones. Outnumbered, the Spider breaks free from the room and resumes his search for the real Spider-Man. Meanwhile, Mary Jane returns to the home that she shares with her husband, Peter Parker. Her mind is focused on she has been left alone after the revelation that her husband, Peter, is actually a clone. Entering the house, she is shocked to see Kane looking through Peter's family photos. He wonders why Peter would give up a perfect life with his wife and their unborn child. Back in his facility, the Jackal tries to console Spider-Man, who has joined the mad scientist after learning that he was a clone. Seeing how upset Peter is, the Jackal decides that the young man needs something to cheer him up and asks him to go and recover the clone of Gwen Stacy.
Oh, wow.
Hey, kid, let me cheer you up.
I know, might as well have gotten him a blow-up doll, you know?
Knowing where she is currently located and sends him on his way. After Spider-Man leaves, the Jackal gloats over how easily Spider-Man can be manipulated. Spider-Side agrees with his master, grinning to himself. Elsewhere, the Scarlet Spider continues searching for Spider-Man while being dogged by his clones. Needing to gain some ground, he begins taking down the clones with his impact webbing and stingers. The ensuing battle sends the spider smashing through one of the walls to the outside. Getting his bearings, the Scarlet Spider is horrified to learn where the Jackal's secret lab is located. While back at the Parker residence, Kane continues to lament over everything that Peter Parker has given up. When Mary Jane asks why Kane cares so much about Peter Parker's life, he explains that he was the first clone of Peter created by Miles Warren. He recalls the early days of his life, how he earned the pride of his creator. At first, Kane seemed to be a complete success until the day that he got his first painful precognitive flash. Soon after, he began seeing the first signs of cellular degeneration. Learning that his creation was flawed, Warren attempted to kill Kane. However, he manages to escape and spend his time spying on Warren and his cloning experiments. He saw as his next clone became his favorite son. He hated Peter at first, but soon saw what he made of his life and envied him for it. Thinking about how Peter has thrown his life away, Kane once more loses his temper. Confronting Mary Jane, Kane figures that since Peter's life means nothing to him now, so does she. Jeez. Back at his lab, the Jackal enters a room full of cloning chambers that all contain clones of Gwen Stacy.
I'm surprised they got clothes on, you know?
I know.
This time.
I was going to say, talk about blow-up dolls. Deciding that there can only be one worthy of him outside of the original, he allows all of the clones to degenerate all at once. At that moment, Spider-Man arrives at the home of the original Gwen Stacy clone. Gwen was prepared for this after the death of her husband, Warren, was killed. Remember Web of Spider-Man 125? Spider-Man is taken aback by how much this clone of Gwen looks like the original. That's the point of a clone?
Yeah, exactly.
He contemplates taking off his mask, but she tells him to stop, telling him that she can't bear living with someone else's memories. Peter tells her that he understands what she is saying. Calming down, Gwen admits that they have no control over their lives and agrees to go along, deciding that she has unfinished business with the Jackal. While back at the Parker residence, Mary Jane stands fearlessly before Kane, certain that he won't kill her or her unborn baby. She convinces Kane of his own humanity and convinces him to go and save Peter and Ben. This succeeds, but Kane leaps out a window to go find them. Again, he doesn't even open it, man. He just like smashes through that window.
Yeah. Real estate's worst nightmare.
Oh yeah, I said the glass guys love it. Mary Jane decides that she is not going to wait around for Peter to come back either, and rushes upstairs to think of a way to let him know she still cares. At that moment, outside of the Jackal's lab, the Scarlet Spider realizes that his foe's lab is in the same factory where his body was disposed years earlier. Amazing Spider-Man 151. He is then swarmed by an army of spider clones and is about to fall when he is joined by Kane. Although the Scarlet Spider insists that Kane not murder these clones, the two agree to fight side by side. All right, thoughts?
Matt?
I thought it was cool. I mean, I love multiple Spider-Mans fighting, and I thought that this was a good showcase of the Scarlet Spider, which I feel like has been, you don't see a lot of the impact webbing in his bag of tricks used too much in here. But I mean, I like the art, and I think this one and the next one, the spectacular one, give Kane kind of a cool spotlight where he's been just sort of a fussy, emotional puppy dog that sort of chases around Mary Jane so far. And so I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I mean,
I like the adjectiveless Spider-Man. So.
I certainly think this arc, like when I was reading through it all, and up around this stage as well, I enjoyed this issue just like how much I was enjoying Maximum Clonage compared to, say, some of the other arcs we've done, which I've found were really flat or really, really kind of over complex just for the sake of being over complicated. This and all the other preceding issues have been quite easy and fun to read through, and they progress the story as well. So I really enjoyed it. What I got from this was more, I don't know. I got tinges of like more horror vibes. Not that it was like a horror comic, but the fact that we get that origin again of Cain and him being almost like Frankenstein's monster. He's like the first creation. He ends up not being the perfect one, but he kind of still lurks around his maker to see what's happening. I found that kind of vibe, and he, how he's stronger than all the other Peter Parkers. So there's that. But there's also this really creepy vibe of that reveal of Jackal's lab being back at that smokestack. It's kind of like that really massive traumatic site is also the site that he's back in again, Ben Reilly, and where the lab is. So I don't know. To me, it just harks to a little bit of like horror, and like that place has a vibe in itself, and as well, like obviously the clones, that's kind of horror-ish as well. But I really enjoyed it. Again, the art was very solid. Introducing Gwen Stacy again in this was pretty funny, I thought. Mary Jane, she had a bigger part to play in this. She actually gave a nice big pep talk to Cain to actually kick him in the butt, get him going. But yeah, and then just fighting, as Matt said, fighting all the other spider people, but Ben Reilly using the bag of tricks that your typical Spider-Man doesn't have, like the impact webbing and the God, what are they called again? The stilettos, the stingers. Yeah, yeah, they were cool because he used them a lot on the Spider-Man, and he got them like he tagged a lot of them with it. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
A couple of balls down the gob.
How about you, Phil? Did you like it?
Oh yeah, I liked it. I mean, again, yeah, we get so much. I mean, I feel bad for Cain. It's like once he's that first degeneration, he basically just gets like a little scar under his eye, and it's just enough to like, tell the difference between him and Peter Parker. So it's like Jackal's like, yeah, you're no good to me. Get out.
Yeah, exactly. But that was enough, So yeah, it was good.
All right. Got time for another one, Matt?
Yeah, I think so. I'm probably going to have to bow out unceremoniously in like 5 minutes. But
sure.
All right, so let's get to Spectacular Spider-Man 227, again, August 95. Writer Tom DeFalco, penciler Sal Buscema, so someone's getting right crossed across the room. Inker Bill Sienkiewicz.
Yeah, these guys, they're back.
That's right. Colorist John Caleese, letterer Clem Robbins, editor Eric Fine. If death be my destiny, who could that be? And what would it take? All right. Ben Reilly has recently learned that he was the original Peter Parker. All right. Upon learning that he was a clone and living alive for 5 years, the man now known as Peter Parker ended up joining with the Jackal. Trying to find Peter, Ben has found himself battling an army of spider clones alongside the imperfect clone known as Cain. The Scarlet Spider is disturbed by Cain's willingness to kill the spider clones, pointing out that they are victims of the Jackal as they are. As they continue to fight, Ben wonders where the Peter Parker he came to find is. Meanwhile, at the Parker home, Mary Jane tries to make sense of everything that has happened. All she wants is for her husband to come home as they have a baby on the way. In order to try and coax Peter to return home, she activates all of his spider tracers all at once.
Yeah, this is a cool little trick.
I know, especially since he gave her one really powerful one. Elsewhere, Spider-Man is swinging across the city with the clone of Gwen Stacy in his arms. When Mary Jane activates the spider tracers, his spider sense goes off painfully. He almost drops himself and Gwen to the ground, but manages to stop his fall by clinging to the side of a nearby building. When Gwen asks what happened, Peter explains that his wife must have activated all his spider tracers. Hearing this, Gwen is surprised to hear that Peter is married and insists that they go and help her. While at his lab, the Jackal is still trying to figure out how the man named Raphael Carago survived being exposed to his new and improved carrion virus. This comes as an upset to the clone known as Spider-Side because he wants to destroy the Scarlet Spider and Kane. Unfortunately, the Jackal is determined that this is a paltry concern if his virus is not 100% effective. Back at the scene of the battle, the Scarlet Spider is still struggling to come to terms with the revelation that he is the real Peter Parker as he battles the spider clones. Suddenly, the clones begin to degrade and melt into genetic soup on the floor. Kane wants to speed up the process by killing the clones that are still standing. Riley tries to convince Kane to stop committing cold-blooded murder. He then decides to try and talk sense into the clones, begging them to join him in his fight against the Jackal. By this time, Spider-Man arrives back at his home with the Gwen Stacy clone. At first, Mary Jane mistakes her for the real Gwen Stacy, but still treats this situation as a long-awaited reunion. When Gwen tells Mary Jane how happy is to see that she and Peter are finally together, this causes Mary Jane to wonder what kind of future the pair have going forward. Back at the Jackal's hideout, the battle between the Scarlet Spider, Kane, and the clones has landed in the middle of the Jackal's main lab. With Spider-Side nowhere around, the Jackal decides to flee the scene, but his escape is spotted by Kane. While at the headquarters of the New Warriors, the team watches a news report about the Scarlet Spider and wonder who he is. When Turbo complains about there are two Spider-Men, her teammate Speedball points out how ironic her statement is. Because I think, what is it? Is it her brother or cousin or something? They share that suit, that Turbo suit.
Yeah.
Their conversation is interrupted by their leader Justice, who all the young girls love his clothes, who tells them that the survivor of the Springville slaughter has been captured. He orders everyone to mobilize, that they're going to search for the Jackal's innocent victim. Meanwhile, the Jackal finds Spider-Side in one of his computer rooms transmitting the carrion virus data to Screer. When the Jackal attempts to activate the kill switch implanted in Spider-Side's mind, he discovers that it has been deactivated by Scryer. When Spider-Side attempts to kill his creator, he is ambushed by Kane, who wants Miles Warren for himself. Back in the lab, the Scarlet Spider continues to try and convince the Spider clones that they can have normal lives. Removing one of their masks, Ben is horrified to see that these imperfect clones aren't even fully human. When they all begin to melt before him, he becomes ill. He is able to hold his own against Spider-Side until he is struck by another precognitive flash by Mary Jane getting killed. Okay, Kane. This time, he sees who the killer is and cannot believe it. Didn't he already see that?
Again. Yeah, he's done it again.
I know. This distracts Kane long enough for Spider-Side to impale Kane through the chest.
No!
Don't worry, he'll be back. This is seen by the Scarlet Spider, who is horrified that Spider-Side committed murder. So it should have been Spider-Murder. As the two fight it out, the Jackal goes to Kane's side and asks his creation why he risked his life. Kane tells the Jackal that he did so because the mad scientist was responsible for giving him life. As Kane apparently dies in his arms, the Jackal finds this pathetic. Eyeing one of his clone canisters and decides not to let this genetic material go to waste. Meanwhile, the Scarlet Spider knocks Spider-Side into one of the electronic devices. This causes an explosion that frees Helix, who flees the scene. The blast pins the Scarlet Spider's leg. I lost it for a second. Under
his ankle. Yeah.
Yes, allowing Spider-Side to escape. The Jackal finds Ben Riley and tells him that he has to go as he learned that there are other players in this game. However, he doesn't want to leave the Scarlet Spider alone, and at the snap of a finger, the genetic soup on the floor suddenly merges into a single entity that begins trying to smother the spider.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Matt, quickly, I guess, before you go.
I'll do like the talk radio style. I'll say what I have and I'll listen off air. Yeah, I really like this issue. I like the artwork, and I liked seeing Kane unleashed. You know, you get all that pent up aggression and fighting everyone. The culmination of all the multiple Spider-Man clones in the real gross way they all started melting, but that he was still going nuts, trying to keep beating them, even though they were going to die eventually in front of him. And then this fight with Spider-Side sort of turning and what did he say? Just like kind of a cheesy line, just like it's killing time or something, as a takeoff of it's clobbering time. And then to see the shock of seeing Kane impaled. I know everyone's no one's really truly dead in comic books except Uncle Ben, but yeah, it was real cool, and I loved the last panel, the big bunch of goop, So it's heating up, and I'm sorry I won't be able to comment on Omega, but it's more like no Mega for me. But duty calls, and I look forward to listening to it. And as always, I don't mind getting up. I mind getting up when I'm first up, but I'm happy to be chatting with you, gents, and I wish you the best. And I'll see you soon.
No worries. No, cheers, Matt.
Thank you.
It was good to catch up.
See you later, Bunky.
Oh, all right. See you later, Bunky.
See you, Bunky.
See you later, Bunky.
Just love that cadence here, the octave he reaches with it. It's good.
I know.
I mean, just further to what Matt was saying, and as much as I said previously that I do like the pairing between Sal Buscema and Sienkiewicz, this would have to probably be my least favorite art from all of them. Just because the other ones were kind of consistent and almost kind of samey style. This kind of darker art seemed to work for, I can't remember the arcs that we did before, but it seemed to lend itself better to that kind of story. And I could imagine this being drawn by Bagley or by Stephen Butler. There was no reason why it would have to be extra dark like this. As Matt said, and further to what I said before, a lot more additional horror elements. I like the gooey spider clones, and at the end they kind of combine together, even to the point where Ben Reilly has to throw up because it's so sickening to see that sort of thing. And of course, as Matt was saying, much of the thread for Kane up until that. Not stock standard, but that very stylistic reveal of Kane being impaled. It's not a left hook, and he's not flying in the air, but he's still kind of upside down and looking at you.
Yeah, mouth open. Yeah,
yeah. So very Buscema there. But yeah, no, it was fun to see. The Spider side. Like the more I see Spider side, I think he's a pretty fun villain. I don't know how much longevity he would have as a character, but it's always fun to see him around in the Clone Saga anyway. And just having a quick look. I really liked. It was only a one-page thing, but I really liked that reunion between Mary Jane and Gwen because they hadn't seen each other, and albeit a clone, I guess the feelings there would be, wow, I'm seeing my best friend again, and that. So I kind of like that when they did meet up. Yeah, but how about you, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with Mary Jane and Gwen, I like that. It's like, oh, I'm glad you and Peter got together. The art, it's like, I love Sal Buscema, I love Bill Sienkiewicz's stuff, but like I said before, I don't think the two of them mashed that well. I didn't like them together. And like you said, it's like the art is completely different than every other issue in this arc. It's like, yeah. And like, I don't know, just the combination of Sal Buscema and Bill Sienkiewicz, everything looks like it's taking place at midnight. It's like completely dark and black.
Yeah, I think that's probably Bill's doing. But I mean, as I said, I think it has its place in certain arcs, and I thought it suited the other arcs really well. But just in this arc, because it seems more of an action-packed romp, it didn't seem to. And although I did say there are some horror elements, I don't mean that on face value. But I just don't think it worked for this one. It was too jarring to come in as the second last part of, and you've been treated to 4 parts with very strong, very consistent art. It does kind of jar you when you do read it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if this book was like its own thing, I mean, the art probably wouldn't bother me as much. But like every month now, it's like they're crossing over with every other Spider-Man book, and it's you can by comparison and contrast, it's like, this looks so different.
Yeah, that's it. It's a bit of a catch-22. I mean, as you say, like if you're a Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, for some reason you're that kind of collector, and you don't collect any of the other Spider titles, then you would be consistently getting this art, you know, because they do the art for, I think, consecutive issues. Mm-hmm. So that would be fine. But then, at the same token, you'd have no idea what's happening. This is part, 5 of Maximum Clonage. You're like, what the hell is happening here? So, yeah.
All right. Anything else, or should we get to the last part? This mess.
Oh, let's do the last one, yeah.
All right. So, Spider-Man Maximum Clonage Omega, August 1995. Boy. All right, kids, sit down. I got a bunch of credits to read here. All right. Writer, Tom Lau. Okay, that's fine. Penciler, Robert Brown, Roy Burdine, Mark Bagley, Tom Lau. Inkers, Sam De La Rosa, Randy Emberlin, Roy Burdine, Al Milgram, Scott Hanna.
Wow, there's a lot.
Yes. Colorist, John Calise and Malibu Color. Letterer, Joe Rosen and Susan Crespi. And editor, Danny Fingeroth and Bob Budiansky.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I think they kind of did this with Alpha, too, where there's a couple different artists, but it seems like it's more noticeable in this issue.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, just slightly here and there, I'd say. I'd agree.
Yeah. And again, except for where's the pencilers at? I was going to say, besides Mark Bagley and Tom Lau, there's 2 other pencilers who aren't even regular Spider-Man pencilers at this time.
Yeah. What's that? Is this give the interns a go?
Maybe, I don't know. Unless they just needed something. I don't know.
Yeah, or we needed someone. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Unless everyone.
But I mean, again, overall, the art is okay. I think. I don't think I had any issue with any of the art in this last issue. I think they all did really well. I'm just quickly flicking through now. There's some very kind of Todd McFarlane-esque, I think, inks and stuff, which I don't have. I mean, I like Todd McFarlane's work, so that's fine. But yeah, you can tell when there's that, and then it becomes more of a stylized, more not cartoony, but just more caricatured. But yeah.
Yeah, again, I mean, it's not terrible, the art in this issue, but again, it just struck me more than Alpha that there was different artists.
Yeah.
All right, so this one appearing, the title, The End of the Beginning. All right, so in the Jackal's lab, the Scarlet Spider is being attacked by the remains of the mad scientist's army of spider clones. As the Scarlet Spider struggles with this genetic goop, Spider-Side hears a voice calling out to him. Going in the direction of the voice, the evil spider clone is teleported away. Although his life is in danger, the Scarlet Spider can't bring himself to kill these clones because they are living beings. However, with everyone at the Daily Bugle and the entire city in danger of being exposed to the carrion virus, the wall crawler manages to pull himself free. Despite his efforts to keep these clones alive, they deteriorate completely when the spider pulls free. Ben then takes a moment to bind his wounds with webbing before he rushes to the Bugle. Meanwhile, at the Parker residence, Mary Jane has succeeded in drawing her husband back home. She explains to him that she doesn't care that he is actually a clone and that he is human enough for her and that he belongs with her. However, the clone of Gwen Stacy tries to convince him otherwise, saying that as clones, the Jackal is all they have left. Finally, Peter speaks, telling Mary Jane that he doesn't deserve her or their baby. Putting on his mask, Spider-Man then grabs Gwen and swings away. As she watches her husband leave, Mary Jane wonders how she can get through to her husband. When Mary Jane's thoughts are interrupted by a TV news report, she turns off the television. That just seemed weird to me. Last issue, Gwen's like, oh, I'm so glad you guys got together. And then this issue, it's like, nah, you don't need her. You're a clone.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kept on thinking about it as well. This whole idea about clones and how they're just meant to be seamless replications of people. But the clones themselves are quite discriminatory, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, we got to stick together. You don't understand because you're not a clone. It's like, and you get that a lot. And Gwen certainly was doing this with Spider-Man and MJ over here. So yeah, very, very different.
Little does anyone know, the reporter on the news is actually the Jackal in disguise. After the news broadcast, he has his Jacks, miniature clones in Jackal costumes, begin setting up cloning pods as they can begin cloning all the people in the Tri-City area that will be eliminated by the release of the carrion virus. With this work underway, the Jackal doffs his disguise and goes to the roof of the Daily Bugle, where another group of Jacks are setting up the viral bomb that will begin his mad scheme. Again, if you don't want Spider-Man or the Scarlet Spider to interfere, why are you using the Bugle?
I know. Yeah. Well, he's mad, the Jackal. So I don't know. There's a subconscious want to be found or something. But this page, you're talking about how the art shifts and stuff. This page, I noticed immediately the size of the Jackal's ears, how different it was compared to previous versions of him. It's like, oh wow, okay. Definitely a new artist here. So
yeah, that's the big thing. Like when the looks radically shift like that, it's like, oh, okay,
yeah.
Unfortunately, the Jackal schemes are interrupted by the arrival of Screer, who orders the mad scientist to stop what he is doing. Unwilling to comply, the Jackal pulls a gun and tries to shoot Screer. However, the weapon doesn't work and suddenly disappears. Suddenly, Spider-Side appears, revealing that he has been working for Screer the entire time. At that same moment, Spider-Man and Gwen arrive at the Jackal's lab and find it deserted. As they search for clues to the Jackal's whereabouts, they accidentally trigger the security systems. Pushing Gwen to safety, the wall crawler dodges the various traps that are activated. After getting past them, he then goes through the Jackal's computer files to learn what his plan is. Getting access, Spider-Man is horrified by what he reads. Didn't the Jackal already tell him what he wanted to do?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm assuming he just says he's at the Bugle, but besides that, I thought Spider-Man knew the whole deal already.
Yeah, exactly. I was wondering, okay, what other new bit has he learned? But yeah, he should know, right? Yeah, you're right, unless it's the location. So,
meanwhile, the Scarlet Spider finally makes it to the Daily Bugle despite being slowed down by his injured ankle. Entering J. Jonah Jameson's office, the Spider tries to warn the publisher of the danger posed by the Jackal and demands that he evacuate the building. Jonah refuses, but that's when Spider-Side and the Jackal come crashing in through the window. Seeing that there is a real danger, Jonah rushes out to get his staff to safety. Back at the Parker home, Mary Jane continues to ponder what she can do. That's when she catches a news report about the battle at the Daily Bugle. Figuring that Ben can convince Peter to come back to her, she suddenly gets an epiphany. Going into Peter's secret lab, she finds an extra set of web shooters and web cartridges and decides that she has played the innocent bystander long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Back at the Bugle, as the Scarlet Spider battles Spider-Side, the Jackal mocks the wall crawler. He's surprised that Ben doesn't want to know what his master plan is. When the Spider explains that he doesn't want to hear any more of the Jackal's lies, that he is only interested in protecting the Daily Bugle's staff. The Jackal scoffs at this, pointing out how he failed to protect Gwen Stacy. Ben is surprised that the Jackal still blames him for the death of Gwen, unwilling to accept that she was actually killed by the Green Goblin.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Spider-Side tries to return the hero's attention to the battle by trying to collapse the roof on some of the Bugle employees. The Scarlet Spider webs up the collapsing ceiling, saving lives, but this leaves him open to being ambushed by Spider-Side. With the Spider down, Spider-Side then returns his attention to the Jackal, intending to kill him for his new master. Hearing how his creation is determined to kill him, the Jackal can't help but think of himself when he first killed his partner, Anthony Serba.
Mm.
By this point, the Scarlet Spider struggles to get back to his feet, but his injured ankle continues to slow him down. The Jackal turns things around by using one of his weapons to dissolve the wall behind him, sending both himself and Spider-Side falling down the side of the building. Seeing this, the Scarlet Spider leaps to the edge and snares them in some web lines. However, Spider-Side won't rest until the Jackal is dead, even at the risk of ending his own existence as well. Struggling to get free, Spider-Side accidentally cuts his web line, sending himself plummeting to the street below.
I think the writers acknowledged that readers would be wondering why that he did that, and so they addressed it with Riley saying, "Oh, I guess you thought you could get that, you could get to the Jackal."
Yeah,
but yeah, it's pretty on the nose.
The Scarlet Spider then pulls the Jackal back up into the building. There, the villain attempts to get the drop on the wall crawler by pulling a gun. Forewarned by Spider Sense, Ben decides to use the situation to get the Jackal to talk and explain how he managed to convince him that he was the clone for 5 years. Before the situation can escalate further, Spider-Man arrives with the Gwen Stacy clone. He quickly disarms the Jackal with a web ball. Seeing the Jackal, Gwen blames him for the death of her husband by making him an imperfect clone. Having had enough with being manipulated, Spider-Man lunges at the Jackal. The Scarlet Spider tells Spider-Man to take the battle outside. Take it outside, kids, so nobody gets hurt while he goes up to the roof and tries to deactivate the viral bomb that has been placed on the roof.
Oh, yes.
There, the Scarlet Spider discovers that there is still 10 minutes left before the bomb goes off, but he doesn't even know where to... Yeah, I know. And he doesn't even know where to begin and try to disarm it. That's when Spider-Man and the Jackal come crashing through the roof access door. Seeing that Peter's in trouble, Ben leaps in and helps his brother web up the Jackal. That Jackal tries to delay them by offering to tell them why the High Evolutionary once tried to convince Peter that the Jackal created genetic constructs of people instead of clones. Yeah, we'll get to that in Scarlet Spider Unlimited #1. Yeah, the High Evolutionary told Peter at one point, Miles Warren never created clones. He just created a virus that turned people into other people.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yes. The pair are uninterested as the primary concern is the bomb. As they try to figure out how to disarm it, a group of Jacks try to free the Jackal. The Scarlet Spider leaves Spider-Man to work on the bomb while he subdues the Jacks as well. With time running out, the two Spider-Men use their spider senses in tandem in order to disarm the bomb and remove the carrion virus before the bomb can go off. With the immediate crisis over, the pair are surprised when the Gwen Stacy clone comes up onto the roof with one of the Jackal's discarded guns. I did like how they both use their spider senses together to try to disarm the bomb. It's like, yep, no talk about that.
Yeah, and I couldn't have done it without you. So with two spider people, you don't need a bomb squad. They can just do it with it's great.
So Gwen intends to kill the Jackal, but both Spider-Men plead with her to not do it. Peter finally realizes that even though he is a clone, that he needs to hold on to what humanity he actually does have. One of those is a sanctity toward life, all life, and thinks that Gwen is some as well. Begging her not to shoot the Jackal. That's when Mary Jane arrives on the roof, distracting everyone long enough for the Jackal to take a swipe at Gwen. This sends her careening off. Oh Lord, here she goes, falling again. She goes careening off the edge of the roof, but she manages to get hold of a flagpole and holds on for dear life.
She's seriously got to get one of those roof belts. The belts, the carabiners. Every time she's on top of something,
I told you they beat this into the ground during the Clone Saga, man. Gwen or someone else going off a bridge or a roof.
Oh gosh.
When the Scarlet Spider tries to fire a web line to her, he discovers that his web shooters are empty. That's when Mary Jane tosses him a spare. However, while this is happening, the Jackal rushes out to the flagpole to save her himself. His added weight causes the flagpole to snap, sending them both falling. The Scarlet Spider manages to fire a web line that catches Gwen, but misses the Jackal, who plummets to his death. With Gwen safe, the Scarlet Spider was glad he could save her this time, even though she is only a clone of Gwen Stacy. Gwen tells them that when push comes to shove, she couldn't bring herself to kill the Jackal, discovering her own humanity in the process. Oh, did you see that, when the Jackals fall and he starts screaming, what is it? When the dream ends, the nightmare begins or something? Yeah. Remember that.
Okay.
That's going to come back into play, yes.
All of you. All for you. Oh, no, I did it for you, all for you. So when the dream ends, the nightmare begins. Okay.
That will come back into play, yes. All right. Suddenly, Spider-Man and the Scarlet Spider's spider senses begin going off as the bomb reactivates. Although the virus has been removed, the resulting explosion can harm lots of people if it goes off. Quickly, the Scarlet Spider swings down to the river and tosses the bomb as far as he can, where it detonates harmlessly. In the aftermath of the battle, the authorities arrive on the scene and take Spider-Side and the Jackal's bodies away. After Spider-Man turns the vial of the carrion virus to the police, J. Jonah Jameson laments that there are now 2 Spider-Men to terrorize the city. In all the confusion, the Gwen Stacy clone decides to leave and disappears into the crowd. When Peter notices that she is gone, Ben reminds him that he has someone more important to look after. Later, back at their home, Peter apologizes to Mary Jane over everything that happened after he discovered that he was a clone. After the couple makes up, Peter decides that there is something important that he needs to do and goes out as Spider-Man again. He meets up with Ben Reilly at his apartment. He has come to tell Ben that since he is the original Peter Parker, he has a right to the Spider-Man name and costume. Although Ben could provide an easy answer, he thinks they both need time to figure things out. He says that the world needs a Spider-Man. He's just not sure which one of them should wear the webs. And we'll get to that next month.
Yeah, so there was a nice sense of closure to it with the Jackal, the whole his mad plan being foiled and all that. But yeah, of course, it has to keep on going. So I like that opening at the end. Still wondering. At this stage, Ben Reilly is looking the goods as a hero. I was just thinking back to the first few issues that we read of him, of like how his character was like so insecure and just always questioning himself. Now maybe it's because he's being told he's a real, the real deal, that he's kind of being a bit more composed. And then you get these sporadic acts from Peter Parker, where he kind of lashes out uncharacteristically. Again, I enjoyed this, towards the end as well. I was glad. I know he's not gone, but I was glad that finally the Jackal kind of, met his maker. That was good. Sad to see Spider-Side go. The Blob. Does he ever come back? Or
I don't believe Spider-Side ever comes back. Of course, the Jackal eventually does, but not in the Clone Saga. So yeah, this is pretty much the end of the road for him in the Clone Saga.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, right. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Spider-Side he ended up being just a blob, I think they call it, because they pick up his body. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Again, you can't go wrong with bombs as well. It's a bit tropey, but as you said, I think the fun bit was having them both work using their spider sense to defuse it. And I was kind of fooled when it kind of got reactivated again. Again, it was probably a weak thing to create another bit of drama, but I found it fun. Like, a failsafe had occurred and it's kind of reactivated again. That was fun. So
did you think it was good? Did you think it was like a good ending, compared to, every issue that made up the rest of this crossover? Do you think the ending paid it all off, or?
Yeah, I did. Except, I did. But the ending, like that last bit where they're talking, Peter and Ben are talking about what they should do. That didn't seem like when that ended, it was like, for me, it was like, oh, was that it? I don't know. It probably would have worked better, maybe if it just ended after the death of the Jackal and all that. I don't know. But they had to tie up a few loose ends with Mary Jane and stuff. Having that conversation with Peter, and then Peter going to see Ben. But what did you think? Did you like it? How did you find it on the reread as well?
Again, it was good in hindsight. It was good. Like I said, sometimes it felt a little taken out of it just because of the shifting art styles.
Yeah.
But no, it was decent, especially since I know where it's going. But
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't bad. Very, very 90s in it itself, but that's not bad.
Yeah, true. There was, I can't even remember the one that we did. The one that we did before. It was one where they revealed like the third Peter Parker or whatever, or the fourth one. That was, I found that a really kind of a bit of a struggle to get through, because it was just like, oh, this is like absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's so, over the top. This one was, I think, pacing wise, the use of characters, the storytelling, like with the amount of plots and subplots that you have, I thought it was really just well done. And they managed to pull it together. Yeah, it didn't seem like it was reactionary the way that it was written. It seemed like this is what they set out to do for this arc, and that was it. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, from this point on, I mean, there's not going to be a million clones every 2 seconds. So yeah, it kind of settles down a little bit in that regard.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it was fun with the Jackal and his, and the clones and how he had the power of them. And I love the way he'd just snap his fingers and what is it? The fail safe or whatever was meant to kick in. So he had total control over these things, and he seemed more powerful than Spider-Man as well. So he seems like a formidable villain, but I don't know, as a villain as a whole, like I still, and it's not because he's part of the Clone Saga, it's just that his character in general, just there's something just a bit off about the Jackal for me. If you put him up against the likes of, as Russell said, Doc Ock or Venom, I mean, they've just got very, I don't know, particular personalities that make them a really good villain. Whereas this Jackal, I mean, he's still making jokes under his breath about stuff and thinking, it's just such a weird character.
Again, I mean, he is like, I mean, he the original Jackal was created in the 70s, but like this version is like, was a baby of the 90s. So it's like, it's like everyone has to have attitude and one-liners and
yeah. I don't know. Maybe he needed something to. Maybe his look as well, the aesthetic. I know he's been modified as well from the original, but maybe he needed something to kind of really make him a little bit more memorable visually, to kind of complement his actions. Because he was just like a green dude with big ears. You saw him in the thing, and
maybe like an actual like supervillain costume. Like really, all his costume was like a trench coat and
trench coat. Yeah, exactly, a costume, something that defines him visually, would have been good. But then again, I mean, he's meant to be like a scientist, right? I mean, although apparently he can fight hand to hand, but so I don't know, would that warrant a costume then if he had it? I don't know. I think he needed something. He was missing something.
I mean, when you're a fancy man enough to like turn yourself into a half man, half Jackal, I think you're fancy enough to wear a costume.
Exactly. Far out. Jeez. Yeah, for sure. But, if anything, I do like the fact that he, his thing is clones, So, you can't take that away from him. That's pretty cool. And I like the mention of the high evolutionary as well, because those that will know to know her is to fear her, the Spider-Woman podcast that we do. The high evolutionary, Herbert Wyndham, are very good friends with Miles Warren. So they do a lot of stuff, cloning stuff. Their research is very similar. So it's good to see this Miles side of stuff, which is way more bonkers than the high evolutionary. And that's strange enough as it is. But even if you look at it, the high evolutionary's got an awesome aesthetic. He's got an awesome look, Yeah, very, very cool. But anyway.
But yeah, like I said, in a few months, we'll get to Scarlet Spider #1, and they're going to go all into that high evolutionary stuff. So
Nice. Yeah. That sounds very interesting what you said about they're not clones. They were what people converted into. That's
it was weird. It was like in the 80s, and I think it was Jerry Conway who wrote the original Clone Saga. He had a thing where it's like, it was during the Evolutionary War, I think. Yeah, High Evolutionary tells Peter, he's like, oh yeah, Miles Warren didn't perfect cloning. He just came up with a virus, because originally they were like, oh yeah, he turned some college girl into Gwen Stacy, and then like that Anthony Serba they mentioned. Originally they thought that the Jackal turned his assistant into the Peter Parker clone, but
wow.
But then I guess they wanted to do the Clone Saga. They're like, no. we need actual clones. So in that Scarlet Spider Unlimited #1, we'll get into why did the Jackal tell Peter that?
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I am loving this. I mean, as rightly so, there's a lot more limelight for Scarlet Spider here as well. I'm loving what Ben Reilly is doing and going through. Like he's still amongst the cast of thousands in this arc, but it's good. It's good screen time for him, so to speak, in this arc, and so I'm really enjoying it. Really enjoying this aspect, because as I said, like I've read a lot more latter Scarlet Spider where the Clone Saga is a distant memory already, and like that Peter David run was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
But it's good to see him. It's good to see him handle himself, well. And he's kind of developed already, as you know. As I mentioned, he's no longer kind of questioning himself. He's becoming a different character. And even at the last page, he's actually giving advice to Peter, like Parker now. So they're very much like equals now. He should no longer see himself as, well, again, at this stage, he thinks he's the real deal. But yeah, there's no longer that inferiority complex that he has.
But yeah, after this storyline, there's more of a focus. Like I said, there's not a million clones running around. There's not as many lurkers. So yeah, they kind of like start bringing stuff into focus more. Okay. I mean, yeah, I still like, and I know he comes back, Kane and all that. So I mean, I still like, Peter Parker, Ben Reilly, Kane. Just bring back Spider-Side as well. Yeah, get 4 of them. That's fine. I like it. Yeah, I don't think Spider-Side ever comes back, I don't think. Yeah. One of the writers will bring him back. Nick Spencer or whoever. Yeah. All right. So what overall for the whole storyline we did today, what did you think? Like, what grade would you give it? What rating? Yeah. Again, a lot of this is probably tainted with just what I know, what I know of the 90s and stuff and living through it. So there's a fondness for that in that sense. And obviously a bias towards the characters. So this one was a much stronger one, as I said. As I mentioned, there were some previous arcs which I didn't really like, which I think I would have given maybe B- or C's or something too. This one I definitely aim towards a B. I reckon a B. I don't think I can give it a B plus. I mean, they're not out of the world. I mean, if anything, maybe the art props it up a bit more. Yeah. Maybe slightly heading towards a B plus. But that's saying as much for the art as it is for the writing. And I really didn't mind the writing in this because of the pacing. It was not dialogue heavy. Each character had a distinct voice. Like they were written well. Apart from what I thought of the Punisher as a guest appearance, but we've discussed that. And also just to be able to interweave all those plots between each other, and then still have that main thread of obviously the Jackal wanting to spread this carrion virus. Very crazy plan, hey? I mean, destroy the whole world and clone the whole world. It's pretty ballsy. Oh, yeah. You got to think big if you want to succeed in the world, eh? So. Oh yeah. I mean, I think I agree with you with the B. I mean, it's not B plus, but it's probably a B. No. Yeah. Just some good stuff. And again, like in the words of Lilith Hellfire, modern comics could never. This 6 issues would have been like 12 if they did this today. Yeah. There was so much in this, like by today's standards. So it's really good. I'll be happy with the B. Yeah. All right. So anything else on this, Ray? Nah. Just I'm looking forward to the next one. I didn't know what to expect for Maximum Clonage because it's got there's a lot of promise behind that title. But I think it almost delivered, So. Okay. All right, so next couple weeks, we already started recording. Lilith Hellfire and I for May are doing Mayday May, so we're doing some Spider-Girl issues, like the first couple Spider-Girl issues, yes. Nice. And then next month, yes, we're going to be doing the 4-part Exiled storyline from Web of Spider-Man 128, Amazing 405, Spider-Man 62, and Spider-Man Unlimited number 10. So no spectacular this time, so. Dark and gloomy. Yeah, no dark and gloomy, but it's more Ben Reilly centric on most of it. So nice. I mean, as much as I love Peter Parker, we are here for the Scarlet Spider love, are we not? So exactly, Scarlet pimps have to tout our boy. Oh, but then all right, let me get to June. So in June, we're going to be doing first week, Amazing Spider-Man 247 and 248, Spider-Man vs. Thunderball, and that classic backup story, The Kid Who Collects Spider-Man. Oh, Yes, and then I guess there's 5 Tuesdays there. Yes, the next 3 weeks after that, Lilith and I are going to be doing all the Atlantis attacks.
Oh, nice! I like the Atlantis
Spider-Man,
attacks.
We're doing the Daredevil one over on the Devil You Know.
Nice.
Oh, and then
okay, I've got to try and get some feedback.
I got to send you the new schedule because in July Lilith wanted to do some X-Men, so we're going to do some X-Men. So yeah, we're even. I think it's like the first week.
Atlantis attacks or no?
Well, the first week of July, we're gonna do that Atlantis attacks annual because she wanted to do some Jubilee. So after that, we're gonna do some Jubilee appearances. Yeah.
Oh, nice, cool.
And then at the end of June, for the Scarlet Spiders, we're gonna be covering Time Bomb from Spectacular Spider-Man 228 and Web of Spider-Man 129. Ray, you're gonna find out the whole deal with Kane's vision of Mary Jane getting killed.
Oh, that'd be cool.
For our June episode, yes.
Time Bomb.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So, lots of stuff coming up, kids. We were even going to do some, in July, some Marvel team-up issues with Black Widow because, there's a movie coming out. So send your thoughts on all of it. Email us, capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember to follow the Ultimate Spider-Cast on Facebook, Twitter. You can find links to all of the various social medias for all of our shows. Links to this YouTube channel if you're ever curious what Ray looks like. Links to our Patreon, more and more stuff coming there. Links to merchandise.
Yeah,
that's right. Cups, mugs, phone cases, T-shirts. I think we have stickers.
Nice.
But yeah, find everything Capes and Lunatics all in one place. That's Linktree, linktr.ee/Capes and Lunatics. And please support our sponsors, Tweaked Audio and Hunt a Killer. Get yourself some headphones and a great game to play. Use the code Southgate for a discount on both of those. And then go on Amazon and pick up Pod Life the book, now in digital and paperback. Audio version coming soon. It's coming, kids. Set my audio in already. All right, so get that on Amazon, and when you do, say hi to Lilith Hellfire and use the link for Southgate Media Group right down there in the show notes. Help us support this show, the network, and that crazy man in the trench coat, Rob Master Doom Southgate.
Make it rain, so says Master Doom.
Your weak sauce. Mark my words.
Oh, and before I forget, follow Matt Kona on all social media at Matt Kona.
Oh, yes.
MATTKONA. All right, Ray. I heard you do a podcast or two. Can you tell us a little about that?
Oh, certainly do, Phil. Certainly do. The best way to contact me would be Twitter handle at RayRayPod. That's REYREY pod. And that will cover, I can chat about many things. The Last Sons of Krypton, Superman podcast I do with Connor. Really fun talking about the Man of Steel. We recently had a guest, Josh Williamson, so that was fun to chat. That's dropping. That would have dropped by the time, I guess, this episode comes out. Also, To Know Her is to Fear Her, the Spider-Woman podcast. Very exciting. Dropping, we've got a new logo, new branding, so that very exciting new chapter, reviewing the latest and greatest. Phil, you've left in your thoughts there for issue 11. So Sarah and I had a good time chatting about that issue. And of course, Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. So anything to do about Moon Knight. I mean, people are slowly getting excited about the TV show as more bits and pieces of it come out. The comic book series coming out in July. It's all happening if you're a Moon Knight fan. So, at RayRayPod, the best place to catch me.
And yes, this is going to be hitting the podcast on Tuesday. So if you didn't listen, go back one day on this podcast and you'll hear Ray on We Are the Night, the Batman podcast.
Had a lot of fun there talking about the other guy.
And then is Lilith and Noel's ITK coming out this week?
Yes, it is. I've already I've finished editing it.
Oh, nice.
Already. So I've just got to Just got to get the notes together, but that was a fun episode as well. So that will drop for Patreons. It will drop on the Tuesday, and that will be a Wednesday release for everyone else.
Yeah, so like I said, if you're listening to this on the podcast, you can hear Ray on Talking Batman, and then go check out Into the Night to see what Lilith was up to this week. Man, you're taking over Capes and Lunatic Sidekicks this week. You were on We Are the Night, and then you're over, we're doing our Spider-Man episode. So, yeah, 2 of the 4 episodes this week. It's you.
I know, but what I'm doing, look, the listeners will understand how much they miss Lilith, when they've been assaulted with me. So,
you're a master at your craft. Come on.
No, Lilith's great. Boing. Lilith's grand. She did a great show with Noel, so I can't wait to reveal that for everyone.
She's a professional. She could be half drunk and still pull off a great show. All right, kids. So yes, go listen to all those shows and then come back. Like I said, Spider Girl, Lilith and I are doing the next couple weeks, and then in 1 month, Exiled.
Yes.
So get a Black Cat appearance in there. Get a lot of good stuff.
Ooh, yeah. Love me a bit of Black Cat.
What?
No, just a Black Cat. She's great. She's a good character.
Oh, yeah. All right, kids. Again, lots of good stuff. Come back. Check out Ray on the Batman podcast. Check out Lil on the Moon Knight podcast. Go check out the Spider-Woman podcast. But until next time, swing on back.
Whip.
Hi, I'm one of the High Priests of Khonshu, Ray, and I have the sacred privilege of providing you, the loony listener, with a podcast honouring Marvel's very own Moon Knight. So join me and a host of others at Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, or support the show by becoming a Patreon member. Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. It's time to get your Khonshu on.